Dealing with stress. My last video, I talked about how we actually shouldn't be calming ourselves down, but instead releasing the stress to truly heal. In this video, I'm talking about 4 different bodily reactions when it comes to stress. They are fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. And here's a quick definition of each. Fight. Your body prepares to confront the stressor head on. Adrenaline surges, heart rate increases, and muscles tense. Flight. Your body readies itself to flee from the stressor. Adrenaline spikes, heart rate accelerates, and muscles contract for rapid movement. Freeze. Your body becomes immobile, unable to respond to the stressor. Heart rate slows, breathing becomes shallow, and muscles lock up. And fawn. Your body attempts to appease the stressor, hoping to avoid conflict. Oxytocin levels rise, promoting feelings of attachment and submission. All of these responses are innate and automatic. They help you to cope with stress in the short term. However, chronic stress can lead to prolonged activation of these responses, which can cause harm to your physical and mental well-being. In an attempt to better understand ourselves, let's break down each one with examples to see if we relate to one or more. Starting with fight. Someone with the fight response may have these types of behaviors. And by the way, I'm just going to read these off to pump this out. Aggression. They may become confrontational, hostile, or violent when faced with stress. Defensiveness. They may become overly protective of themselves or their ideas, leading to argumentiveness. Competitiveness. They view stress as a challenge to overcome, becoming overly competitive or critical. Dominance. They may attempt to control or dominate others, asserting their power over stressful situations. Sarcasm or passive aggression. They express stress through indirect aggression, such as eye rolling or backhanded comments. Impulsivity. They act impulsively, leaping into action without considering consequences. Anger outbursts. They experience intense, uncontrolled anger in response to stress. And belligerence. They become pugnacious, seeking conflict or picking fights with others. Moving on to the flight response. Avoidance. They flee stressful situations or emotions, hoping to escape the stress response. Procrastination. They delay tasks or decisions, avoiding stress by putting things off until later. Distraction. They divert their attention away from the stressors, focusing on other activities or substances. Escape into addiction. They use substances or behaviors as a coping mechanism, escaping stress temporarily. Restlessness. They become agitated, pacing or fidgeting, unable to sit still or relax. Rapid speech or movements. They talk or move quickly, trying to outrun stress. Easily startled. They become jumpy or easily startled, exhibiting an exaggerated startle response. And difficulty relaxing. They struggle to unwind or relax, remaining in a state of hypervigilance. Someone with the freeze reaction may have these types of behaviors. Immobilization. They become physically or emotionally paralyzed, unable to move or respond. Dissociation. They disconnect from their body or emotions, feeling numb and detached. Avoidance. They evade stressful situations or emotions, hoping to escape the freeze response. Rigidity. They become inflexible, struggling to adapt to the changing circumstances. Lack of emotional expression. They suppress emotions, appearing stoic or unresponsive. Physical tension. They exhibit physical stiffness, such as a clenched jaw or a tight fist. Difficulty with decision making. They struggle to make choices, feeling overwhelmed by options. And emotional numbness. They feel disconnected from their emotions, unable to access or express feelings. And finally, someone with the fawn bodily reaction may have these types of behaviors. People-pleasing. They prioritize other people's needs over their own, sacrificing boundaries and autonomy. Avoidance. They shy away from conflict or stressful situations, hoping to avoid confrontation. Passivity. They become overly submissive, failing to assert themselves to express their needs. Over-accommodation. They take on too much responsibility, overextending themselves to avoid stress. Self-sacrifice. They put other people's needs before their own, neglecting self-care and personal desires. The inability to say no. They struggle with setting boundaries, leading to emotional exhaustion. Excessive emotional labor. They invest too much emotional energy in others, draining their own emotional resources. And tendency to internalize. They blame themselves for external stressors, leading them to self-doubt and low self-esteem. As I mentioned earlier and in other videos of mine, it's always good to kind of look at some basic 101 psychology articles and definition, not to self-diagnose, but to get a general idea. What can you relate to? You might find yourself relating to one or maybe all four of these bodily reactions when it comes to stress, dependent on the situation that is stressing you out. You may even be able to relate stuff to when you were a child and how you reacted with your caregivers and how it set you up for how you are today. In conclusion, as I get this gorgeous sky in the background, it's really helpful to understand these different behaviors that go along with the different bodily responses. You might be able to relate to a few of them, but it's going to help with you in your healing process. We are constantly working on ourselves, and it's good to have these technical definitions to relate so that you can pivot and move forward with your life with peace and also to level up year after year.